The stars looked cold and distant through the main window of the New Horizons, as Commander Jake Morrison watched the darkness of space. His ship moved slowly through the Zarian system, carrying diplomats and supplies to help rebuild worlds torn apart by decades of war. Jake had seen many battles in his 35 years, but nothing compared to what the Dominion Empire had done to this corner of the galaxy. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of engines and the gentle beeping of computers. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez sat at his station, checking fuel levels and engine performance. Dr. Lisa Carter was in the medical bay below, preparing supplies for the refugee camps they would visit. Communications Officer Greg Davis monitored radio signals from nearby planets, listening for distress calls or requests for help. Jake liked his crew. They were good people who believed in helping others, just like him. The New Horizons was not. A warship but an exploration vessel, converted for humanitarian missions. They carried medicine, food, and hope to places where all three were rare. A sharp alarm broke the peaceful silence. Greg looked up from his console with surprise on his face. Commander, I'm picking up a weak distress signal, about 2 million kilometers off our port side. Jake moved to Greg's station and looked at the readings. The signal was faint and broken, coming from something very small drifting in the empty space between planets. Can you tell what kind of ship it is? Greg worked his controls, trying to clean up the signal. His face grew serious as the data came through. Sir, it looks like a Dominion escape pod. The life support systems are failing fast. The bridge became tense. Everyone knew about Dominion technology and what it usually meant. The Dominion Empire used the slaves for everything, especially fighting their wars. Their escape pods were designed for their most valuable property, warrior slaves, called Valkyrie. How long before life support fails completely? Jake asked. Maybe 20 minutes, sir. 30 at most, Jake thought quickly. Saving anyone in a Dominion pod could mean trouble. The Empire did not like losing their property and would chase after it across the galaxy. But leaving someone to die in the cold emptiness of space was not something Jake could do. Ben, change course to intercept that. Pod, Greg, prepare the docking bay. Lisa, get to medical and prepare for a possible survivor. The crew moved fast. Ben's hands flew over his controls as he adjusted their flight path. The New Horizons turned smoothly toward the weak signal. Through the window, Jake could see a tiny dot of metal reflecting starlight as they got closer. The escape pod was badly damaged. Burn marks covered its hull, and several systems were dark. It spun slowly as it drifted, showing blast holes from weapons fire. Whatever had happened to the ship this pod came from had been violent and destructive. Docking bay is ready. Commander, Greg reported. I'm reading one life sign inside the pod. Very weak, but still alive. Bring it in. The mechanical arms of their ship reached out and grabbed the small pod, pulling it into the docking bay. Air rushed in to fill the space as the bay doors closed. Jake hurried down from the bridge, meeting Lisa at the entrance to the docking bay. Lisa carried her medical kit and wore the calm expression she always had during emergencies. She had saved hundreds of lives during her career and never seemed to panic, no matter how bad things looked. They opened the pod carefully. Inside, they found exactly what Jake had expected, but hoped they would not. A Valkyrie warrior slave. Was unconscious, but still breathing. Her body was covered in scars from countless battles, and silver markings were tattooed along her arms and face in the distinctive patterns of an elite fighter. Cybernetic implants were visible under her skin, glowing with a dim red light. Her dark hair was cut short in military style, and even unconscious, her hands were positioned as if ready to grab weapons. Get her to medical bay immediately, Lisa. Side, already checking the warrior's pulse and breathing. She's badly hurt, and those implants look infected. They moved her carefully to the medical bay and placed her on the treatment table. Lisa began running scans while Jake watched from nearby. He had never seen a Valkyrie up close before. The stories said they were bred and trained from birth to be perfect killing machines, with no emotions except rage, and no thoughts except following orders. But looking at her now, unconscious and hurt, she just looked like a person who needed help. Her injuries are serious, but not fatal, Lisa reported as she worked. The bigger problem is these implants. They're designed to cause pain if she disobeys orders. Some of them are infected, and all of them are slowly poisoning her system. Can you help her? I can try. But Jake, you need to understand what we're dealing with. When she wakes up, she's going to be dangerous. Valkyrie are conditioned from childhood to fight. She won't know how to do anything else. Jake nodded, but kept watching the unconscious warrior. Something about her seemed different from the stories he had heard. Maybe it was seeing her without weapons or armor, just looking like someone who had been hurt and was far from home. Do what you can for her, Lisa. When she wakes up, we'll figure out the rest. Lisa worked for hours, cleaning wounds and treating infections. The warrior's breathing became stronger and more regular. Her temperature came down, and the infected implants stopped glowing so brightly. But she remained unconscious, lost in whatever dreams or nightmares filled the mind of a warrior slave. Jake stayed nearby, thinking about what would happen when she woke up. He knew the laws of the Dominion Empire. Escaped slaves had only two choices: death or claiming by a new master. There was no concept of freedom in their world, no middle ground between slavery and execution. But Jake Morrison was not part of the Dominion Empire. He was human, and humans had different ideas about right and wrong. As he watched Lisa work to save the warrior's life, he began to think about a third option that the Dominion had never considered. The warrior's eyes opened suddenly, glowing with the same red light as her implants. The warrior's red eyes opened like warning lights in the dim medical bay. Her body moved before her mind fully awakened, rolling off the treatment table and landing in a fighting crouch despite her injuries. Pain shooting through her damaged muscles did not slow her down. Pain was familiar. Pain was expected. Lisa stepped backward quickly, her hands raised to show she held no weapons. Jake remained still, watching the warrior calculate distances and escape routes with the precision of a machine built for war. "You are not Dominion," the warrior said, her voice rough from disuse. Her eyes moved between Jake and Lisa, measuring them as threats. "State your species and territorial claims. We are human," Jake said calmly. "This is our medical bay. You were dying in an escape pod, and we brought you aboard to help." The warrior's eyes narrowed with confusion. Her conditioning had prepared her for many situations, but not for this. Enemies killed, masters claimed, but these creatures had done neither, and her programming struggled to categorize their behavior. "I am Zara 7, property of the Dominion fleet, trained for elite combat operations," she said, the words coming automatically like a recorded message. "I have escaped custody and violated my programming. According to Imperial law, you must either execute me as a rogue asset or claim me as salvage." She straightened to her full height, ignoring the pain from her healing wounds. "Choose quickly. Kill me or claim me. There is no third option." Jake looked at her carefully. Even hurt and surrounded by strangers, she held herself like a weapon ready to strike. But something in her eyes was different from what he expected. Behind the red glow of her implants, he saw something that looked almost like hope, quickly hidden, but unmistakably there. "I choose neither," Jake said. The simple words hit Zara 7 like a physical blow. Her implants flared brighter as her conditioning tried to process an impossible response. Electrical pain shot through her nervous system, punishment for encountering a situation her programming could not handle. She fell to one knee, her hands pressed against her head as the implants sent waves of agony through her brain. Error. Error. Invalid response detected. Punishment protocol activated. Lisa moved forward quickly, medical scanner in hand. Jake, her implants are overloading. They're designed to cause pain when she encounters something outside her conditioning. Can you help her? I'm trying. Lisa worked frantically, adjusting settings on her medical equipment. The implants are fighting my attempts to reduce the pain. They're designed to ensure obedience through suffering. Zara 7 looked up at them through the pain, her red eyes wide with confusion and something that might have been fear. You must choose. The law requires it. I cannot exist without purpose. I cannot function without a master or termination. You're not property, Jake said firmly. You're a person, and persons get to choose their own purpose. Person, she repeated, the word like it was in a foreign language. Persons are masters. Persons own property. I am property. I am weapon. I am tool. Her implants pulsed again, causing another wave of pain. But this time, Jake saw something different in her expression. Along with the pain, there was curiosity. Her conditioning told her his words were impossible, but some deeper part of her mind wondered what it would mean if they were true. Let me help reduce the pain from those implants, Lisa said gently. I can't remove them without surgery, but I can adjust their settings to give you some relief. Zara 7 stared at Lisa with genuine confusion. Why would you reduce my pain? Pain is earned through failure. Pain maintains discipline. Pain prevents errors. Pain is also unnecessary suffering, Lisa replied. No one deserves to hurt just for existing. I exist to serve. If I do not serve, I should not exist. Jake knelt down, so he was at eye level with the wounded warrior. What if I told you that existing has value all by itself? What if your worth isn't measured by what you can do for others? The implants flared again, but less severely this time. Zara 7's programming was slowly adapting to concepts it had never encountered before. That is impossible. All things exist. To serve the Dominion, objects without function are destroyed. You're not an object, Jake said patiently. You're alive. You think and feel and make choices. That makes you valuable just for being you. Ben Rodriguez appeared in the doorway of the medical bay, carrying a toolkit and looking curious about their unusual patient. He had been listening to the conversation from the hallway, fascinated by the warrior's cybernetic systems. Commander, I've been analyzing the signals from her implants, Ben said. They're incredibly sophisticated, but also incredibly cruel. Most of them exist only to cause pain and enforce obedience. With your permission, I'd like to study them. Maybe we can find a way to disable the worst ones. Zara 7 looked at Ben with suspicion. You wish to examine Dominion military technology. This is espionage. You should be reported to Imperial authorities immediately. We're not interested in military secrets, Ben explained. We just want to help you feel better. Those implants are hurting you for no good reason. The reasons are good, Zara 7 insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. Pain maintains order. Pain prevents rebellion. Pain ensures loyalty. Pain also prevents healing, Lisa added, and prevents growth and prevents happiness. There are better ways to live. The warrior was quiet for a long moment, her red eyes moving. Between the three humans, her conditioning told her they were lying or trying to trick her. But their actions did not match their words if deception was their goal. They had healed her injuries, reduced her pain, and asked for nothing in return. I do not understand your behavior, she finally admitted. You gain nothing from helping me. You risk punishment from the Dominion by harboring their property. Your actions serve no logical purpose. Maybe kindness doesn't need a logical purpose. Jake suggested. Maybe helping someone who needs help is reason enough. Kindness Zara 7 repeated the word slowly. This concept is not in my programming. Define kindness. Jake thought for a moment. Kindness is caring about someone else's well-being without expecting anything back. It's helping because you want the other person to be happy and safe. The implants flickered, but did not cause pain this time. Zara 7's conditioning was slowly learning that these new concepts, while strange, were not threats to be punished. You care about my well-being, she said, making it half question and half statement. Yes, but you do not know me. You do not own. I provide you no service or benefit. That doesn't matter, Lisa said. You're hurt and scared and far from anything familiar. That's enough reason to care. Zara 7 sat back against the wall, her mind struggling to process ideas that contradicted everything she had been taught since childhood. For the first time in her life, she was not being commanded or punished or used. She was simply being treated as if she mattered. I think I would like to understand this kindness, she said quietly. If you are willing to teach me, Jake smiled. We have all the time you need. 3 days passed before Zara 7 allowed Ben to examine her implants properly. She sat very still in the medical bay while he used scanners and diagnostic tools to understand the devices that had controlled her entire life. The red glow from the yawl. Implants had dimmed considerably since Lisa began her treatments, and the constant pain that had been Zara 7's companion since childhood was now just a dull ache. These are remarkable pieces of technology, Ben said, studying the readings on his scanner. But they're designed with cruelty as their primary function. Most military implants enhance performance or provide tactical advantages. Yours are built specifically to cause suffering. Zara 7 nodded without surprise. Pain ensures obedience. A warrior who fears punishment will not hesitate to follow orders, even orders that result in death. But you're not following orders now, Lisa pointed out from her desk nearby. You're sitting here talking with us, making your own choices about what to do and say. The implants aren't controlling you anymore. The implants cannot control what they do not understand, Zara 7 replied. Your behavior creates errors in my conditioning. The pain programs cannot activate properly when my situation does not match the parameters. Jake entered the medical bay, carrying a tray of food. Over the past few days, he had made it his routine to bring Zara 7 her meals personally. At first, she had been suspicious of the food, testing it for poisons or drugs. Now she accepted it readily, though she still ate with the mechanical efficiency of someone trained for survival rather than pleasure. How are the diagnostic tests going, Jake? Asked Ben. Fascinating and horrible at the same time, Ben replied. The implants are slowly killing her. They're designed to burn out her nervous system over time, ensuring that even the most successful warrior slaves have a limited lifespan. Zara 7 showed no reaction to this news. Standard Dominion practice. Property that becomes too independent or powerful is automatically eliminated. Expected operational lifespan for elite warriors is 15 years from first deployment. How long have you been deployed? Lisa asked gently. 12 years, 8 months, 16 days. The humans exchanged glances. She had less than 3 years to live under normal circumstances. And that was assuming her implants did not accelerate their destructive process due to her current situation. We need to remove them, Lisa said. It's major surgery and very dangerous. But it's her only chance for a normal lifespan. Normal lifespan? Zara 7 repeated the phrase with wonder. I have never considered existence beyond my operational parameters. What does one do with a normal lifespan? Whatever makes you happy. Jake said, you could learn new things, go new places, make friends, find work you enjoy. The possibilities are endless when you're free to choose. Choose, she spoke the word like it was precious. Over the past 3 days, she had been making small choices constantly. what to eat first from her tray, whether to sit or stand during Ben's examinations, which questions to ask about human customs and behavior. Each choice was tiny, but together they were building something she had never possessed, a sense of personal agency. Amy Parker, the ship's navigator, appeared in the doorway carrying a small potted plant. She had been curious about their unusual passenger, but had waited until Zara 7 seemed more comfortable before introducing herself. "I thought you might like to see this," Amy said, holding up the plant. "It's from the ship's garden. I grow vegetables and flowers to help supplement our food supplies and make the ship feel more like home." Zara 7 stared at the plant with intense fascination. "It is alive. Yes, it's a tomato plant. In a few weeks, it will produce fruit we can eat. You nurture life that serves no military purpose." Amy smiled. "Growing things makes me happy. And fresh vegetables taste better than the processed food we usually eat on long voyages. But mostly I do it because I enjoy caring for living things and watching them grow." Zara 7 reached out carefully and touched one of the plant's leaves with the tip of her finger. The leaf was soft and green and unlike anything in her previous experience. "It responds to kindness. All living things do, in their own way," Amy replied. "Plants grow better when they're cared for properly. Animals are happier when they're treated gently. People become stronger and kinder themselves when they're shown love and respect. Even broken warriors, especially broken warriors," Jake said. "Everyone deserves the chance to heal and grow." That evening, Zara 7 asked to see more of the ship. Jake agreed and gave her a tour of the New Horizons, explaining the function of each section they visited. She was most interested in Amy's garden, a small hydroponics bay where vegetables and flowers grew under artificial sunlight. "You dedicate valuable ship space to beauty," Zara 7 observed, looking at a row of colorful flowers that served no practical purpose except to please the eye. "Beauty has value, too," Amy explained. "It reminds us that life is about more than just survival and efficiency. It gives us something to hope for and work toward." Zara 7 knelt beside a flower bed and breathed deeply. A scent of growing things filled her enhanced senses, and for the first time in her memory, she experienced something her conditioning had no name for. Later, she would learn to call it joy. The next morning brought crisis. Long-range sensors detected 3 Dominion warships entering the system, moving fast toward their position. Greg's face was grim as he reported the news to Jake. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding the return of stolen property. They want Zara 7 back, and they're not asking politely." Jake looked at Zara 7, who had gone very still at the news. Her conditioning immediately began reasserting itself, preparing her to surrender to lawful authority and accept whatever punishment awaited her. "I must return to them," she said, her voice becoming flat and emotionless again. "My escape has endangered this ship and crew. I will not allow others to suffer for my failures." "No," Jake said firmly. "You're not property to be returned. You're a person under our protection, and we don't abandon people who need our help. The Dominion will destroy this ship to reclaim me. Your kindness does not justify the deaths of your crew. Our crew knew the risks when we decided to help you," Ben said from his engineering station. "We're not afraid of the Dominion." "You should be," Zara 7 replied. "I have seen what they do to those who harbor escaped property. The punishments are designed to discourage others from similar acts of defiance." Lisa appeared at Jake's side, having left her medical duties to join the bridge crew. "What if we fight? 5 humans against 3 warships." Zara 7 shook her head. "Impossible odds." "Noble but pointless gesture." "Maybe," Jake said. "But sometimes impossible odds are worth facing for the right reasons." The Dominion ships were getting closer, their weapons powered and ready for battle. But Jake was thinking about something else. The look in Zara Seven's eyes when she touched Amy's. Flowers. The wonder in her voice when she asked about normal lifespans. The careful way she had been learning to make choices and express preferences. Zara 7, he said. What do you want to do? She looked at him with surprise. Want, yes. Not what your conditioning tells you to do. Not what logic dictates. What do you, personally, want to happen right now? For a long moment, she was silent. Her implants flickered as they tried to process a question they were not designed to handle. Finally, she spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. I want to stay here. I want to learn more about kindness and choice and growing things. I want to understand what it means to be a person instead of a weapon. Jake smiled and turned to his crew. Then that's what we'll do. All hands prepare for battle. The 3 Dominion warships approached like predators, circling wounded prey. Their dark hulls bristled with weapons designed to crack planets and reduce entire fleets to space dust. The New Horizons, in comparison, looked like a defenseless civilian vessel carrying medical supplies and humanitarian aid. Incoming transmission, Greg announced from his communication station. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he worked his controls. Put it on speakers, Jake commanded, standing at the center of the bridge with his arms crossed. Zara 7 stood beside him, her warrior instincts fully alert as she studied the tactical display showing the approaching enemy ships. A harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in the clipped tones of Dominion military authority. Human vessel, you are harboring stolen Dominion property. Surrender the escaped asset immediately or face destruction under Imperial law. Jake stepped forward, his voice carrying across the bridge and out into space. This is Commander Jake Morrison of the exploration vessel New Horizons. We are not harboring property. We are protecting a person who has asked for our help. Static crackled over the communication channel before the Dominion officer responded. Assets do not request help. Assets follow programming. You will return Zara 7 to Dominion. Custody within 10 minutes, or we will take her back by force. We don't negotiate with slavers, Jake replied, his words carrying a conviction that surprised even his own crew. This person is under our protection, and she will remain so. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Ben worked frantically at his engineering station, trying to coax more power from engines never designed for combat. Amy plotted evasive courses through the Zarian system's asteroid fields. Lisa prepared emergency medical supplies for the wounded they would surely have after the coming battle. They will destroy this ship, Zara 7 said quietly. One explorer. Vessel cannot survive against 3 heavy cruisers. Your weapons are designed for mining asteroids, not fighting wars. Maybe, Jake agreed. But sometimes the right thing to do isn't the safe thing to do. Why? Zara 7 turned to face him, her red eyes reflecting the glow of the tactical displays. Why risk everything for one escaped slave? Your lives have value. My life has served its purpose. Simple mathematics suggests you should surrender me to save yourselves. Jake thought about his answer carefully. In the past week, he had watched this broken warrior slowly discover what it meant to be human. He had seen wonder in her eyes when she touched Amy's flowers. He had watched her struggle to understand concepts like choice and kindness and personal worth. Most importantly, he had seen her begin to hope. Because you matter, he said simply. Not because of what you can do or how useful you are. You matter because you're alive and you're learning to be free. That's worth protecting. The first Dominion ship opened fire, sending streams of energy across space toward the New Horizons. Ben threw the ship into a desperate evasive maneuver, the artificial gravity struggling to compensate as they twisted through 3 dimensions to avoid the deadly beams. Return fire, Jake ordered. They're mining lasers. pushed far beyond safe operating parameters, lanced out toward the nearest Dominion cruiser. The beam struck armor designed to withstand much heavier weapons, scoring the hull but causing no significant damage. "It's like attacking a fortress with a pocket knife," Ben muttered, sweat beading on his forehead as he fought to keep them alive. Zara 7 moved to the tactical station, her enhanced reflexes and military training taking over. "May I make a suggestion? Please, Dominion. Ships have powerful shields, but they concentrate their defensive energy forward during attack runs. If we can get behind them, their rear armor is much thinner. Also, their communication arrays are vulnerable to precisely targeted strikes." Jake nodded to Greg, who quickly adjusted their weapons targeting. "Do it." The next few minutes were chaos. The New Horizons twisted through space like a minnow fleeing. Sharks, using asteroids and debris for cover, while striking at weak points Zara 7 identified. Their small ship was faster and more maneuverable than the heavy cruisers, but one direct hit would end the fight immediately. "Shields down to 30%, Ben reported as another blast caught their port side. "Hull breach on deck 4. Emergency teams responding. Lisa ran from her medical station to help with damage control, leaving Jake and Zara 7 alone near the command chair. Around them, the bridge sparked and smoked as systems overloaded under combat stress. "I have tactical knowledge that could help," Zara 7 said. "Dominion ship weaknesses, crew procedures, weapon vulnerabilities. Information that could turn this battle in your favor. Are you sure you want to fight your former masters?" Zara 7 looked at him with something that might have been surprise. "They are not my masters. I chose to stay here with people who see me as a person rather than a weapon. That makes you my allies and them my enemies." She moved to the communication station and began broadcasting on all Dominion military frequencies. "Attention Dominion forces. This is Zara 7. I am no longer your property. I have been shown kindness by humans who treat me as an equal. I choose freedom over slavery and will fight to defend that choice." Her words echoed across space, reaching not just the 3 attacking ships, but any Dominion vessel within range. For the first time in the long history of the Empire, a Valkyrie warrior had publicly declared independence and sided with aliens against her former owners. The effect was immediate. The Dominion ships hesitated in their attack, confusion evident in their formation as commanders tried to process this unprecedented situation. In that moment of uncertainty, Amy found the opening she had been searching for. "Asteroid field dead ahead," she announced. "Dense concentration of metallic rocks that will interfere with their sensors and weapons targeting." "Take us in," Jake ordered. The New Horizons plunged into the chaotic maze of spinning rocks, using them as shields while continuing to strike at the larger ships. Zara 7's knowledge of Dominion tactics proved invaluable, allowing them to predict enemy movements and strike at critical systems. But the battle was far from over. The Dominion commanders regrouped quickly, coordinating their attacks to drive the human ship out of the asteroid field and into open space where their superior firepower would end the fight. "We can't keep this up much longer," Ben warned. "Our weapons are overheating, and the ship won't take many more hits." That was when Greg detected something new on his sensors. Multiple ships approaching fast. Configuration unknown, but there. Not Dominion. The newcomers emerged from hyperspace in a coordinated formation. Smaller vessels with aggressive lines and weapons, clearly designed for war. But as they drew closer, Zara 7's eyes widened with recognition. "Free Valkyrie ships," she said with amazement. "Other escaped warriors who have found their own freedom." The lead ship opened a communication channel, and a voice very similar to Zara 7's filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is Captain Kira 9 of the Liberation Fleet. We received your broadcast and came to assist. No warrior should face the Dominion alone. How many ships? Jake asked. 15 combat vessels and growing, came the reply. Word of your stand is spreading across subspace. Free Valkyrie throughout the sector are converging on this position. Tide of battle turned quickly. The Dominion cruisers found themselves outnumbered by former slaves, who knew all their weaknesses and fought with the fury of the newly liberated. Within an hour, 2 of the 3 enemy ships had been disabled, and the third was fleeing toward the edge of the system dot as the immediate danger passed. Jake found himself standing beside Zara 7 on the observation deck, watching the Free Valkyrie. Fleet take formation around the new horizons. Each ship represented warriors who had chosen freedom over slavery, and their presence proved that Zara 7's transformation was not unique. They came because of what you broadcast, Jake said. Your words gave them hope that freedom was possible. Zara 7 nodded slowly. For the first time, I understand what Amy meant about growing things. Kindness grows. It spreads from person to person like seeds on the wind. You showed me that I had worth beyond my function as a weapon. Now others are learning the same truth. She turned to face him, and Jake was surprised to see that her eyes no longer glowed red. The implants had gone dark, their control systems finally overloaded by concepts they could not process or suppress. I want to choose a new name, she said. Zara 7 was the designation of a slave. I want a name that belongs to a free person. What name would you choose? She smiled, an expression that transformed her scarred face completely. Zara Carter. After the doctor who saved my life and taught me that all beings deserve healing, Jake smiled back. I think Lisa would be honored. 2 years later, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his new flagship, watching a remarkable sight unfold before him. The joint human Valkyrie Liberation Fleet stretched across space like a constellation of hope, over 200 ships, working together to free another slave world from Dominion control. Beside him, Captain Zara Carter commanded her own vessel, the Freedom's Dawn, with the same tactical brilliance she had once used in service to the Empire. But now her skills served a different purpose: liberation instead of conquest, healing instead of destruction. All ships report ready for final approach, she announced, her voice carrying across the communication channels to the mixed fleet of human exploration vessels and converted Valkyrie warships. Target planet shows approximately 50,000 enslaved workers in mining operations. Dominion garrison estimated at 2,000 troops. Jake nodded, studying the tactical display. The liberation of slave worlds had become routine over the past 2 years, but he never took any of them lightly. Each world represented thousands of lives hanging in the balance, people who deserved the same chance at freedom that Zara had received aboard the New Horizons. The transformation had been gradual but unstoppable. Word of Zara's liberation spread through the hidden networks that connected enslaved Valkyrie across the galaxy. Her story became legend, the warrior who met humans who chose kindness over conquest, who offered freedom without asking for service in return, that other escaped slaves began seeking out human colonies, knowing they would find sanctuary instead of new masters. Dr. Lisa Carter, now Director of Refugee Services, had established rehabilitation centers on dozens of worlds, helping former warriors learn to live without the constant pain and conditioning that had defined their existence. Remember, Zara's voice came over the fleet communication system, addressing the hundreds of former slaves who now fought for freedom. We are not here for revenge. We are here to offer choice. Every being on that planet, whether enslaved or enslaver, deserves the opportunity to choose a different path. This philosophy had become the cornerstone of their liberation efforts. Rather than simply destroying Dominion forces, they offered captured soldiers the same choice that Jake had once offered Zara: freedom from a system built on cruelty and oppression. Surprisingly, many accepted. Dominion troops, raised in a culture of absolute obedience and brutal discipline, often discovered that life could be different when shown alternatives. Some joined the Liberation Fleet. Others chose peaceful retirement on